Heroes don't need to be them people that mainstream news always put at the front. It's people, it's your neighbour and people with normal jobs and people getting on with everyday life and people helping each other on the street.
Amos Madra.
Nomi Farooq from Vibe Manchester, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about Vibe Manchester.
Thank you. Cheers for the introduction. My name's Nomi. I am based in Manchester. I've been running a media agency called Shoot Business for a number of years now, based here in the city centre. And we also run a social enterprise called Vibe Manchester, which is a social media publisher that aims to spread positive vibes through, amazing content around human beings and the great things that go on in Manchester.
Indeed. And Nomi, when I look at the content that you guys produce, it's always inspiring. You could pick some of the mundane places around the city and make it look so good. And of course, you've been a great ambassador for the city as well. The work you guys do is incredible. Tell us how you started with this whole thing and the people that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, I've been running a media agency and, we've been producing creative content and videos for various different brands. And, we're a group of very close creative individuals who are doing some great work for companies. And at some point we thought, we've got some amazing talent, within our offices, and how can we do something that's more positive in the community? Cool, fantastic. As I mentioned before, we've got backgrounds in creative media and video production, and we've been doing this for a number of years under a successful media agency, and we've been privileged to work with some amazing brands and organizations. And then what we thought was, after a while, what can we do as creative individuals to do something more positive, more inspiring, more sort of community-led with our talents? And hence, Vibe Manchester was born. And, we have an ethos of, trying to spread positive vibes and capture the most interesting human beings and talk about things people don't talk about, trying to connect communities together. And, the pandemic has just increased that for us, and we realize, there's a lot going on and there's all these hidden heroes in society. And, we can really talk about these things, because if you turn on the news, it's all depressing and it's all doom and gloom 99% of the time. Where are the feel-good stories? Where are the positive inspirations? And what is the younger generation meant to look up to? And we don't talk about these things enough. So that was the idea behind it. And we just thought, right, we want to grow this further. And we like I said, we're a group of creative individuals. We have experience in video production, in photography, in marketing, in various creative aspects. And I think we could create a really good hub for diverse communities and creatives around the city.
Absolutely. And what you guys do is a complete total vibe. Again, it's a feel-good place to go to. When I go on your pages, I could spend hours on end on there just looking and navigating around the city. And what's incredible is, I almost feel like a stranger, even though I've grown up in the city in Manchester. I feel like a stranger sometimes when I go into the city centre because it's changed so much, especially over the pandemic. And I think it's always helpful to have, guys like yourselves who are constantly updating and showing what's going on around the city, around the city centre. So you're always trying to map out where that place is. Oh, that new building's come up. Where is it? So, you really have made a big impact, especially over the pandemic. I can speak for myself anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments. I mean, like I said, there is some amazing things in the city, like, hidden gems and, places. And, we didn't just want to be a kind of a what's on place, what's on in Manchester, make it all commercial and stuff. We really wanted to talk about things that people don't talk about. And, we did a series in the pandemic called Hidden Heroes. And that was a video series, doing various videos around, we know how, during the pandemic, what comes on the news. We know the NHS has done a great job. We know, the effort nurses have put in and doctors during this pandemic for our people. But there's all those everyday people, the single mothers, the taxi drivers, all these people who have suffered a great deal, but still were doing really good things in the community and really being on the front line as well. So like we interviewed taxi drivers and various different people, and they were the hidden heroes for us. They were the people that don't actually get talked about. And doing them video interviews, it not only it helped us realize how important they were, they actually were, and how how inspirational they are actually. And heroes don't need to be them people that mainstream news always put at the front. It's people, it's your neighbor, and the people with normal jobs and people getting on with everyday life and people helping each other on the street.
Absolutely. You take for granted, don't you, the simple things that we have in life, just being able to get from one location to another. It wasn't easy, especially for taxi drivers. At the time, right in the height of the pandemic, they were still expected to go out and continue as normal when everybody else was in, their sanctuary at home. And it was, they really put themselves out there, which was, again, it shows the work to go above and beyond to make life easier for everybody. And these are people who need to be celebrated. So it's certainly important that you've done that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just, you mentioned the trips and everything. They had to put themselves out there. If you remember, there's a huge fear around the pandemic, people coming out their houses, and like that was a big move for a taxi driver, for example, to go out and carry loads of passengers to and from different places, including sort of the NHS. So they were putting themselves at risk essentially. And taxi drivers have passed away in this pandemic, amongst other communities. And we work closely with taxi firms such as Streetcars, and it wasn't just the drivers. There were actually initiatives that they were doing. So if you remember, it was hard for people to actually go out and do shopping, especially the elderly at some point, because of all the restrictions. And and it was a good community feel. People like Streetcars, they weren't the only firm, but people like Streetcars, they started doing food drops to all the elderly, so doing little weekly packages of food and groceries, and they would just off their own back just send it out into the community. And we did videos around that, uncovering the activity of these guys as a community, as an organization in the community, helping the community genuinely, without actually expecting anything in return. So we've done good videos around that, and I thought that was quite amazing. Like it's not the only story out there, it's just the one we were connected to, but it just shows that there's a lot more going on a community level.
Yeah, and again, speaking of the community level, students as well, vital part of the community. They had it hard as well, locked into their dorms, and they couldn't get out. There was all sorts going on during the pandemic, and of course, you advocate for students. That's something that's important to you.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're actually based here in Manchester Met University, and always have been. So, a big part of what we want to do is there's a whole younger generation coming in now, and that whether it's inspiration or guidance or positivity that they need, I think it's really important that we nurture them, and we give them access, and we give them gateways, and we give them places where they can expand their talents and stuff. And with our backgrounds, obviously I'm a big advocate of promoting creativity and creative people and creative students and young creatives. I don't think they have enough opportunities that they should be having, and I think they need to be given a space. Like Manchester is a creative city. It's not just the northern quarter, where you can go down to and find sort of creative people. They're everywhere. They're in every single community in Manchester, and they're doing some amazing things. Like with the media agency, I've come across some of the most amazing creatives I've ever seen, and like I wish I could help every single one of them, if I could. And like, I think doing what we do at Vibe, we can do that. Like, we have young students at the moment who go off and do their own series, and use Vibe as a platform. And what we do is we guide them in that process using our experience. And, you know, these guys are only 16, 17, 18 years old, but they're amazing. Like literally a few weeks ago, we're doing a series at the moment called Word on the Street. And we've got a few young students literally going out on their own and interviewing people and having really good production quality, some good creativity. And I think back to when I was 16 and 17, and I was like, I don't think I was nowhere near that kind of level in terms of creativity and confidence and everything like that. So, you know, I see an immense amount of talent out there, which you know, needs a bit of direction, maybe.
Absolutely. That kind of reminds me of when I was trying to get into the whole media broadcasting thing, starting off with the Vox Pops, and you build on from there, but it nurtures confidence, and, you know, credit to you for doing that. So, you know, you're very creative. Is that the sort of person you've always been? Did you always envisage, you know, running this media organization, going into, you know, so many communities and helping out people? Is that something you always wanted to do?
It's a good question. I didn't really know what I wanted to do till I was kind of finished uni. So I took a kind of traditional route. I think I've always had a creative mind, like from a really early age. So school, high school, something was always there. I was kind of always into the art and the graphic design side of things. And I got to college and I kind of just, if you like, I just went with the system. So, you know, went to college. I mean, I was quite intelligent and stuff. You know, I was really good at exams, but I didn't have any feeling there. So I did my GCSEs, went to college, did my A-levels. And my A-levels were mixed between business and accountancy and graphic design and art on one side. So that mix was already there in my mind. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. And I never thought at 16, 17, 18, oh, I want to be this when I grow up. What I did know was I was quite entrepreneurial, and I knew I wanted to do something and I wanted to set out at some point. And again, I just went with the system. You know, I went and did a degree in business and IT, and I was doing side projects while I was doing my degree. I was doing like freelance projects in graphic design and web design and all this kind of stuff. And as soon as I finished uni, you know, the traditional thing what 99% of students were doing is they were getting a job in a corporate society on a certain wage, and I kind of rejected all that from the beginning. I just never, I finished uni and I was just like, stayed quite rebellious in terms of, you know, not going down that route and saying, look, I need some time. I'm going to take my time to think about what I want to do. And I think as a foundation, I always had creativity on one side of my brain and entrepreneurship on the other side of my brain. And then I started freelancing for a while, started working in a few companies, doing some freelance work, and then decided to set up a shoot business. And I thought, okay, that's really a good way for me to combine creativity and entrepreneurship. Like, you know, we can do creative things for businesses, and it kind of combined the two at that point. And I set it up at a time when video production wasn't really that big. I had to convince businesses on why they needed video a lot of the time, and that was the state they're in. Obviously, I don't need to do that now. You know, video is quite massive for every single company out there, but I was still getting a lot of maybe some negativity, some sort of hurdles of, you know, is this going to work? You know, is this that's going to be the future? And I thought, like, even in my degree, I was thinking about, you know, nowadays the degrees are a lot better, but like then we were on the verge of the social media boom when I was finishing my degree, and I was thinking, you know, I could kind of see it on the horizon. I was thinking, like, I'm not prepared at all for this kind of stuff. So a lot of my stuff is self-taught. Like, I've not done a film degree. I've not even done a highly creative degree. When I did my first video production, I was literally the one-man band. I did an advert on LinkedIn. Got the first job in, did the sales process and the pitch, sealed the deal. I was the man behind the camera. I was the guy doing the editing. So, you know, that kind of, all that process was self-taught for me. You know, I didn't like, you know, do a degree in it or anything, and just realized I just had that ability to visualize and be creative, and everything else I was kind of reverse engineering. And then I became quite good at it. I became quite good at it, and people were appreciating it. And quite early on, I started to build a team as I started working with certain freelancers. And a lot of the people that work with me today are people that started out with me. So it's been quite a good journey.
That's a fascinating story. And I'm sure you wouldn't change it for anything, that grind and being, able to work. I'm sure sleepless nights, of course, but then it was all worth it in the end.
I think so. I'm still on the journey. I'm still learning. I'm still working it out. I think it's not for everybody. Like you mentioned, there will be some stresses and sleepless nights and stuff like that. But yeah, I wouldn't, regardless of whether I make money or not, I wouldn't really change it for anything. Like, I'm in a really privileged position, and I think I've got an ability to do some great things along with the team that I have around me, and that's the main thing. I think I was speaking to somebody the other day, and we were trying to work out what happiness is, and it's hardly ever about the money. Whenever I speak to people and I'm learning from people, it's about being content at the end of the day, and being content in your heart, and that's where you're going to be. And if you can't do that when you've not got money, you're probably not going to be able to do that when you have got money. So it's kind of, it's finding that balance. I think as a typical entrepreneur and a startup, I've kind of worked really hard, and I don't, you don't want to be working 12, 16 hours a day for the rest of your life. But, for me now, it's maybe about finding that balance and trying to give others the opportunity to do some great things.
You've got a great philosophy there. I like that with happiness and, what it means. And I think if we all took that on board, it would make the world a better place, certainly. You're very self-aware. Talk to me about, your philosophy, being self-aware, that type of person.
It's hard to discuss philosophy. I don't think I'm settled on one philosophy. I think it depends. It depends. It depends who you are at the end of the day. I think for entrepreneurs and people in business, I've done some mentoring for the university, and I've spoken to young graduates, and I've spoken to young people in business. And I think what I tend to advise them as a starting point is work out something you enjoy. Forget about the money, forget about what works and what doesn't work in terms of a business and everything. I think start with what you enjoy, regardless of what it is. And I think what you don't want to end up doing is just doing things for the sake of doing them, because the years will pass and you'll end up either not achieving anything or just not being happy, or it might not just be a good mental state for you. So I think some really good sort of starting points for people in business and entrepreneurship is start with something you enjoy, start with something that does track a bit of passion with you. For me, it was creativity. For someone else it might be something else, but it's I think try to do good things, and good things will come to you. I think that's kind of how I try to live it anyway.
Absolutely. And of course, going back to, the point when you were at university, and it's what a lot of people go through, trying to figure it all out. What am I doing? Where's this going? But discovering yourself and discovering who you are, would you change any of that, or would you?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I don't think I would change it. The thing is, it's easy to kind of go back and say, change this and change that. But everybody's on their path, and whatever you face and however long you take, it doesn't really matter. And it's quite easy to compare to others and say, oh, well, that guy at 21 or 25 became a multimillionaire doing X, Y, and Z. But how do you know you'd be happy in that circumstance? And everybody's on a path. It's not ever a straight trajectory. It's a roller coaster to get to wherever you want to, and part of the downs are part of what makes you stronger, kind of thing. So adversity, it can be a really bad thing, but at the same time, it can be quite an empowering thing. It can change you. It can change your journey. It can lead you to other things. And sometimes when you look at things that went wrong, because in the past, or, you know, you lost a piece of business, or you know, whatever you did, you lost a client, it seems really bad at the time. But when you look back at it, you realize that was a turning point for you. It was a point to go somewhere else. So I think, like, if I look back on it, like, I could turn around and say, yeah, I could have done this earlier, and I could have done this earlier, and I could have done this 3 years earlier. But, you know, how do you know that's not going to be a butterfly effect for something negative years on in your life? So, you know, it's like I said, I wouldn't really change it. I think, like, the journey I've been on, I'm privileged to be on it. You know, I'm healthy. I've got good people around me and family, and, like, I'm just appreciative of it.
Yeah, just being grateful, isn't it? That's what it's all about. So, the future, what can we expect?
No idea, but like I said, I'm just going to keep on working as I do. I think I really want to grow Vibe into something that's really powerful in Manchester, and really powerful for our communities. I hope I can, like, do some amazing work in the community, and really do something different. I don't want it to be another social media publisher that you know, is just about doing funny videos and memes and stuff like that. I do want it to be something more inspirational, and something people will remember. And I guess if it impacts people's lives and transforms communities and people for the positive and for the better, then I'm happy, I suppose. And whatever we can do to do that, I'll aim to do it, regardless of any kind of profit situation or not. It's just about doing the act of it. And yeah, like I said, just try and be as positive as possible for the community we live in.
And that's what Vibe is indeed. And before I let you go, how can the audience connect with you, with Vibe, and learn more about what's you know, next for you?
Absolutely. So we're on the social media channels with Vibe. I think that's the best place to see our content. So if you go to Facebook, put in Vibe Manchester, you'll find it. We're on Instagram as well, and Twitter, and YouTube, and TikTok as well. Not to forget our latest social media network that's taken over. You won't see me dancing around on there, don't worry. So, you know, go on there and follow us and support us, really. And if you've got anything we can help with, if you're out there in the community and you think we can cover something, or there's a story out there, or you want to get involved, you know, get in touch. We're happy to have a discussion and see how we can help you best we can, and just have a cup of coffee and chat like the good old days before COVID, instead of Zoom.
Absolutely. Nomi Farooq, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting down talking to you. Thank you so much for inspiring us, and again, just to remind us, you know, what is happiness, and being grateful for what life is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.